Hey guys, welcome to another Raw review. Of course, we have a lot of stuff to talk about today, since Monday Night Raw was this yesterday. And of course, we have just a pure lot of stuff to talk about. So without further ado, let's get into that. Last week's episode for whenever you're watching this, or a year's episode ago for whenever you're watching this. Of course, CM Punk came out. He kicked off with the World Heavyweight Championship. Then, for some reason, Logan Paul came out. Then, the Vision came out. There was just a lot of chaos in this, so let's just describe this detail by detail. And the first thing that happened, CM Punk came out. He cut a pretty decent promo. I can't really remember anything that he said, so it's really not that memorable. But then Logan Paul came out. That was really the only thing that was memorable about this. I'm pretty sure he said that he wanted a title shot for CM Punk, and I actually called this. I called that he was actually going to be in a tag team match with the Vision, but it ended up being Jey Uso, but we'll get into that later. So yes, basically the Vision comes in and they attack CM Punk. Then of course, Logan Paul is trying to leave the ring because he's a coward, but then he actually comes back into the ring, but he also gets squashed by Braun and Braun security, or whatever you want to call them now. But the Vision, of course, they always are going to be on top doing the first segment of Monday Night Raw, because that's what they are. And after that, it was straight into a match. It was a match between Nikki Bella and the Women's World Champion Stephanie Vicure versus Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez of the Judgment Day. This was a pretty good match. I mean, it was nothing special. I'm just happy to see that Nikki Bella is putting over people in this stage of her career. I feel like it's well more than deserved that Raquel gets a shot, or Roxanne gets a shot at the Women's World Champion, because they have they've lost 90% of their matches, and matches that they shouldn't have lost. So this was a very, very good thumbs up. Just a very good match too. Well, it wasn't that good, but it was decent at best. So I'll give it, for the match ratings, I will give it 2.9. Ladies and gentlemen, 2.9. Then we have the two luchadors of the whole entire company basically right now, because it was a match between Penta and El Grande Americano. Of course I knew Penta was going to win this since he's in Mexico. No offense, but I feel like this match should definitely stop happening. They have done this match ever since Chad Gable was underneath the mask, or supposedly Chad Gable was underneath the mask, because I don't want to create rumors or anything. I don't think it was Chad Gable, but the one who they was rumoring to be Chad Gable, that's who started off their feud with. So it's really been going on ever since April, May, or whenever. Even though I don't want to see this match, it was still a pretty good match. I'll give it a 2.8. And next we got the greatest luchadores coming out. The AAA Mega Campeonato and the Intercontinental Champion, Dirty Dominic Mysterio. But then the supposed, to a lot of people, greatest luchador of all time, Rey Mysterio, comes back. I was actually not expecting this. It's kind of a rude awakening for me. So I really did want to see John Cena versus Dom, but just imagine if Rey Mysterio wins the tournament, but also at Survivor Series, he faces Dirty Dominic Mysterio, wins the title, and it's a match between him versus John Cena. John Cena actually wins, and wins the Intercontinental title, so he can become the Grand Slam champion that he is really well deserving of. So that would be very, very good too. I really do want to see Dirty Dominic Mysterio versus John Cena. So I really hope that they do end up going in a different direction, and maybe they just do this, at the Last Time Is Now event for the Saturday night's main event and stuff. So yeah. So next it was the Kabuki Warriors versus Lyra Valkyrie and Bailey. This was a pretty good match, but it was probably the weakest link out of all of the matches that were on the card, or the tag team matches that were on the card. So I am gonna rate this 2.7. And also in that tag team match, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss came out after. So I'm pretty sure they're basically confirming that it's going to be the Kabuki Warriors versus Alexa, probably at like the next pay-per-view, or really they might just meet on War Games, or this might just be like a build-up tag team rival to War Games. But yeah. Alright, so the next match on this card was probably one of my favorite matches on this Raw, and I'm gonna rate this probably highly, and probably higher than I'm probably supposed to, but this match was a banger and I highly recommend it. And this match was AJ Lee, that makes you get giggles or whatever, but it's AJ Styles and Dragon Lee versus the Judgment Day, Finn Balor, and JD McDonough, which JD McDonough is like, he's highly, highly underrated, so of course I gotta give props to JD McDonough. But this match was an absolute banger, and I can't even lie. This match, I would highly recommend to anybody out there with a Netflix subscription. So, if you want to get a VPN, you can with Proton. It's always free. So, I would highly, highly recommend this match. But the next match was earlier confirmed match that I didn't talk about. It was between main event Jey Uso and the Second City Saints CM Punk versus the Braun and Braun Security. So this match was pretty good. I mean, it was really average. So I'm going to give it a 2.6. It's a little above average. So that's a good thing. It was still not that good overall, but what happened next is even more shocking. So next, Logan Paul comes into the ring, and he has a pair of brass knuckles in his hands, and he surprisingly hits CM Punk with it. So basically, he is confirmed into the Vision. Of course, there was a lot of stuff on this Raw that I didn't like, and there was a lot of stuff on this Raw that I liked. Overall, I'm not a heels advocate, or I'm not a hater or an intern John of the world. I'm just a casual wrestling fan that just talks about what's good wrestling and what's not good wrestling. I'm not just gonna rage bait online and say that this was bad or this was good. I'm calling it straight down the middle, and there's a lot of people on here just rage baiting so they can get money. So that's the only thing that I really have to say about a lot of these people that's online talking about like WWE and stuff. So I guess that's it. So peace.